as I contemplated this issue of a Rockefeller presidency, and I certainly wouldn't rule out something like a Rockefeller Clinton combination, because bringing Hillary to vice presidency, or even the reverse, Hillary having Jay as vice president, either way, you could see it either way. I could see it either way, but I think, in my view, Jay should be the president because he has worked hard in American politics all his life. He's familiar with the ups and downs, the ins and the outs of Washington. He knows probably more people in Washington than almost any other person that could be mentioned there. And so his likelihood of success is going to be far greater than other people at bringing reform in critical areas where the citizens of the country really feel like something needs to be done, and they know that they don't have that expertise, but they know that their children at school need to have the best schools that they can have, and they know that the political process needs reform in the sense of more people being able to kind of participate, which has really already been served by the internet and by people being able to express their views on the internet. It just needs a little bit of tinkering, if you will, to make people realize that they can use that mode of communication for expressing their views. Because really, expression of people's views is the most important element. For the most part, Americans don't want to participate in politics. They think it's kind of an ugly business, and they're not so much interested. And I don't think returning to something like the idealism of 1960 would be a bad thing, in the sense that it would bring on the kind of protests of the 60s or anything like that. It's just that if these areas were actually addressed, campaign reform, medical care, educational reform, and specifically the aspect in medical care of kind of like a bit more corporate sharing and a bit more actual presentation of the facts regarding that many corporations today in the pharmaceutical industry do share with citizens their resources. For example, over the years, I've needed medications, and many times the drug companies have had policies where they provide such medications to people who need it. It's just that the information about those services is not. The people don't have the information that they can get such help. So it's often that the help is available, but they don't get that kind of help. And so a lot of these areas, and there was one other area that I wanted to address, but I am not thinking of it right at this moment. But I think a candidate like something like the moderate and even slightly left position of Gary Hines would be a good position to allow to kind of use the leverage of that idealism of 1960 and that feeling that the Democratic Party had back then would really cause the country to be a very different kind of place in politics, to have a better feel for Americans, because they would feel like their leaders are actually addressing some concerns that they've had for many years. And so but it requires expertise, and it requires a person. It can't be really someone who's new to politics or who doesn't, like the presidents in the upcoming years are going to need to have been senators, governors, and so on. And this family brings a lot to bear in that respect, and could therefore be vital, I think, in reinvigorating both the political process and certainly the Democratic Party.